Well, that is the end for me in this car. I have my 1964 Mercury coming back soon. We actually moved houses, and when that happened, I had to kind of delay my work on the car and ended up sending it to a shop to just get it finished. But as you can see, I have a small 2-stall suburban garage, so one of the big boats has to go. And I have so much into that Mercury now of just personal attachment. It's gonna be this one. And you know, I made a little bit of money on getting it in running, driving, good condition. It's an amazing car. And if you don't know, this one has an incredible story. It went from Huntington family, a very wealthy, famous family in California, to the Peterson Automotive Museum, a sheikh in Kuwait, and now it's going to a museum in Sweden. So the story on this one continues, and who knows? I wasn't the last part of this car's story, and maybe Sweden isn't either. Maybe someday this thing comes back to California. Maybe even back to me, who knows? I do love the thing, but I've gotten to experience it, I've gotten to help it live another life, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it ends up in Sweden. So this is the only Continental I have left. Having owned a Continental for a few years, what are my takeaways of it as a car to own? Well, it's one of the all-time greats for two big reasons. Number one, design. That's going to be one of the major factors in any car being collectible and desirable is a design. And this, especially for the era, one of the all-time greats. Second, exclusivity. And I like that term better than rarity, because things can be rare just because they weren't desirable. Where this is rare because it's exclusive, super expensive, very limited numbers, and very desirable. So those are the two big highlights. Drawbacks. One's really the drivetrain. That 368 Lincoln Y-Block by this time was really a bit outdated compared to the competition. In fact, the very next year, the 430 came out, and the Ford executives, Ford family that owned these things and drove Mark IIs for the next decade, swapped out their engines with 430s or later on other newer engines. So sort of admitting that these were a bit behind the curve on drivetrain. The interior, you could say the interior is kind of like a nice watch. Sometimes the more you do to it, the more you take away. You know, it should be simplistic, everything you need, nothing extra. That's one argument. The other argument is maybe it's a little plain, actually, for the price point and the time. Just that single 4-gauge cluster popping up from the dash. Some of the things that Chrysler and GM were doing at the time might have been a little bit more interesting. So it was a very nice place to be. I wanted something else that gave it a little more pop and pizzazz than what was there. All the materials, unbelievable. The leather, the carpet, everything around you was stunning. So that is moving on, and this one I will keep forever because that's my memento that I got to be a Mark II owner. And I have since replaced my Mark II with another car that's the only resemblance to the Mark II is that it has 4 wheels and it's red. And I have a model of it right here. Now, the next video, I'll be showing you the real version of this car, and I'm also kind of stuck thinking, who's my audience anymore? How many people would follow me to see this car, but also be interested in this car, which I believe is another all-time great design, but these have nothing else in common. Beyond that, I have my Mercury Monterey, should be coming back from a bit of work getting it finished. It's kind of this color, gorgeous, can't wait. 64 Monterey should be back in about a month, and we'll talk about that too.